Well, hi again. James Oldenburg here. I'm going to just show you in a kind of think a two-part video how to play Paul McCartney's classic tune Blackbird. Now, so I know a lot of people aren't really into the why, the theory of things. So I'm going to save that for part two. If you want to dive a little deeper, then go into that, and I'll explain quite a bit of the tune actually, so that you can maybe use this concept in other tunes. And for part one, I'll just go through and play it super slow, and I'll talk a little bit about the technique for both hands. Okay, so the tune's in the key of G, and it does go in the chorus to the key of F. So it's just in two different key centers. And what he does in the tune is he uses the interval of a third to represent the chord. So what I mean by that is the interval of a third is like, say, in the key of G, it would be G, A, B. Just the root of the chord and the note that's three notes, or two higher notes. So there are three, the spacing is an interval of a third. So G, A, B. So what he does is he plays the G down low and he plays the B up high. So on the right hand, I'm playing most of the melody with my middle finger on the second string. So it's kind of classic finger style, where you've got a finger per string. So the second finger is on the second string, the ring finger is on the first string, and the index is on the third. Now that leaves your thumb to play whatever the base of the chord is. There's one exception to that in one section that's twice as fast as the main part of the song. The main part of the song is just basically in eighth notes. It goes 1 and 2 and 3, and I'm playing basically the melody on each quarter note. 1, 2, 3. But that whole melody is pretty much with the middle finger. In some spots, it'll go to the top string, but then it's going to be the top string and the thumb. Now, this middle finger acts as kind of, just a filler. It's just going to play a G all the time. And all that's going to do is create this filler in the chord, and it's create this rhythmic element. So instead of this, 1, 2, 3, I get 1 and 2 and 3, and so that's what the function of the index finger is going to be. So if my beat's like this, so every beat I hit a melody note. So that's all with the middle finger pretty much. So what happens then after the G and the B, just those two fingers, I'm going to forget this finger for a sec because we'll get all the fingering down first. So it goes G and B, and again, that's an octave apart. Then I just climb up the scale. I go after G is A, after B is C. And now I climb all the way up this string. So the A goes to B and the C goes to D. And we just keep going. Now I would, on finger-wise, I would keep it just like this. Third finger, kind of standard fingering. C, standard fingering, first finger for the C. And now I would use my second and fourth. And then if you keep your fourth finger on the second string all the time now, it's going to guide you through. There's a different shape. It's got a fret in between. So there's two of those. And then the other options. Now this isn't used in the tune, but I'm just going to show you the whole scale. So then it goes minor again, which is 2 and 4, 2 and 4, and we're back to major. Okay, so if you think about that as a scale, it's just do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. I kind of harmonized my melody, but that's fine. So the melody then in the actual song just goes B open, C, D, and now I jump all the way to the B. But what I would do would be to practice these shapes. Now, if you look at these shapes, there's really two of them apart from this first chord. So this is kind of unique because I'm on a different string. So that's a major, that's a G major chord. You know, it's just a short way to play that. It gives you the essential information. Then it goes to A minor, which if I think about it like this, you can see that there's no frets in between. It's just your first finger and your second. Then if I go to B, it's exactly the same. So I would finger that, not with these fingers though. I would finger it with 2 and 4. So that way, my first part of the tune, I can do with my hand in this position. So G, A minor with your first finger. Now these two are free, so they can just get ready. There's my other minor shape. Now I go to a major shape, which is bigger, right? There's a fret in between those two frets. And then I go major again. And then I go 2 minors, so back to 2 and 4. And then end on major. So there's my scale. Great. So what he does is he just goes G, A minor, B minor, then right to G. So far, all I've used is my middle finger and my thumb on the right hand. And now you can put the index finger in between that. So I'm going to go middle, index. And that's just going to be the pattern all the time. So it would be really great just to set up a beat. Just stick on one chord. So it's kind of like 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2 and 3 and. So that's the basic rhythm for the whole song as well, is just eighth notes being really regular. So it goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. Now he jumps right to the fret 10 with the first finger on that high G chord. And then at this point, the time gets doubled. So it's like, here's the beat. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a. That's how you would count that. There's 16th note involvement there. So you'll notice that's what I'm doing there is when it gets fast, my thumb is going back between these two G's. It's G, 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 G. And, you know, I mean, you may be saying, well, you know, why not use the first finger for that? And just go like this. And it has that sort of sameness because I'm hitting the exact same string with the exact same finger. It'd be the same problem if I hit it with my thumb. Like these G's are exactly the same note. This one's warmer though, it sounds different. So if I bounce back and forth, I get kind of like a bass feel going on. So that sounds a lot more musical to my ear than going, you know, it's kind of, you know, we can do this quite easily on the guitar. You just find the same note on a different string, and then you can bounce back and forth with different fingers. So that's the only exception to what I was saying earlier about the index on the third, the middle on the second, and the ring finger on the top, is that when you get to the fast bits, your thumb's going to go back and forth between the fifth string and the third string. Okay, so I'm going to go super slow through the sections, and I'll just call the names of the notes on the second string. So it's B, and yeah, okay, I'll put that middle G in there. But, you know, a good way to practice it, maybe I'll do it without it first. So you just go B, or I'll call it by the root note, sorry. So I'm going to call it by the lowest note. So this is a G chord, so I'm going to call it a G chord. So G, then it goes to C, or A minor, I should say. and then to B minor, that's the shorter distance, C major, D major, E minor, F sharp minor, because we're in the key of G, and G. So that's the scale again. So what he does is he goes G, A minor, B minor, G, back and forth. G, A minor, B minor, G. And you would count that like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 E and 1 and 2. It's not in 4, it's in 3. Now it's in 4. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and so that's the two different right hand patterns. Again, so far all I've used is my middle finger on the second string, the index on the third. Oh, I didn't even use that. I'm going to do that in a sec here. And then the bass is always going to be just the lowest note of the chord. So there's a space there where we're going 1 and. So the index finger is always going to be playing these ands, a lighter stroke. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. So you'll notice that the fourth beat, I'm not filling in the gap. I'm not going 1 E and 2 E and I'm going 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. So that last note gets gets a half a beat. So that's that's the first part. So he just goes. Do it again. Great. So that's, makes up quite a bit of the song. So that's just the melody with my middle finger, the harmony note G with the index finger, and the bass note of the chord with the thumb. So now the next section, he goes these same shapes on the second string and the fifth string, but he introduces the first string. And so I want you to look at this string here. The bass line movement is a really good way to memorize songs. So it goes first finger, second, third, fourth. In other words, it's just moving chromatically up the fretboard. So if I go slow, here's the chords. Look at this fifth string. Now it goes up a fret, goes up a fret, goes up a fret, goes back down, goes back down, goes back down, and we end up back at C. So I didn't do the timing right there, but that was the movement. So this goes all the way up to E and then comes all the way back down to C. So what it involves is these chords from the scale. There was a C chord, there was a D chord, same shape, and there was an E minor chord. That's the smaller shape, right? No fret in between. So in between those, though, there is a new chord type and a new chord shape. And this is a diminished chord. So he goes C major, then this would be called C sharp diminished. And so all he does is go to C sharp, and the first finger's on the G. Now, that's on the first string. So that is when I bring in the ring finger. So it's now I've got to switch between middle and ring finger. that's a pretty good move just to practice right there. And really make sure you're not like using the same finger all the time. Just make sure you use your middle finger and your ring finger. So middle finger, second string, ring finger, top string. And then he just repeats that up 2 frets. And that creates this line on the bottom. And I'm now going to go one more note to the E, and then it's minor again. Okay, so if I stick the kind of bland G in the middle of all those again, I get this. Up to the E minor. So C, C sharp diminished, D, D sharp diminished, E minor. Now when he gets to the E minor, he does that double thumb thing again. So anytime it's fast. So now this is 1 E and 2 E and. And then what he does is he drops his first finger into a major shape. 1 E, or sorry, that'd be 3 E and 4 E and. I'll do that again. 3 E and 4 E and. So it's 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. Again, that sort of longer note at the end as well. So that whole section to there goes 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and. I'll do it one more time just so you can practice with it. So C, C sharp, D, D sharp, E minor, double the time. Major. Then it goes back 1 to D major, which was in the scale. And then it goes back down to C sharp on the bottom. This just, again, is falling, right? So it goes here, falling a fret, but you have to switch to the ring finger on the first string. So it's kind of tricky. Middle finger, second string, down a fret, change your whole hand position, bring in your ring finger. Right, so from here, E minor, that'd be called E flat major. Now D major, C sharp diminished, C major, and he's back into the rhythm. Okay, so that's quite complex. So what I would do in that section is I would practice, again, this thing here where I'm doing this shape, major in your normal 5th string, 2nd string, index finger in the middle. Concentrate on going up a fret here, but the G on the 1st string and your ring finger comes in. Now, what you could do for a lot of this song, like the whole beginning, you can just leave that finger sitting there. Okay, so it's there now. When I go into this section, it's kind of waiting for me. Now I got the feel of that already. Now I'll just practice that up. That's actually what happens in the song. But as an exercise, it would be great to do that. In fact, yeah, just that's how I would do it. So just here, and go as slow as you want, but just make sure it's smooth. So 1 and 2 and back and forth, and just get that move so you don't get like, but keep them on so there's no hole. And then go up to the D, and it's just the same move. So once you get it, you got it. You won't have to worry about it. The right hand will behave itself. When I get to E minor, I double the time again. 1 E and 2 E and you notice the thumb comes back and forth on those 2 notes. 1 E and 2 E and 3 E and 4 E and 1 and. way through this section. So this is kind of a new section wrapping it up. It goes, once you get to the C, and these are all the quick ones with the thumb. 1E and a 2E and a 3E and a 4E and a... So all that did was go from C major to C minor. Now you take that same shape and go slide down a fret. So that's back to the B minor. Now this is a new chord, but it's super easy. You just slide your second finger down to C sharp and play the open A. So that's an A7 chord. And then your thumb comes up to the open string D, and you play just the note C. Right? So that's kind of like a G6 or a D6 chord. An 11 chord, because D, E, F, G is the foreign note there in the D chord. That's interesting sound, hey? So that's an 11 chord. You could also think of it, well, really in this case it would be like a sus chord. I'm not going to get into it. Okay, so it's just basically like a D7 shape. That's what the chord's kind of trying to be. And then back to the G. And that also is that rhythm. So that rhythm, I'll just recap this whole section. It's eighth notes. Now it starts double time. Back to eighth notes. Double time. Minor. B minor now. A7. D7. So that's pretty much all the verse. There's a little tag on the verse that he does sometimes. And so all that is this again. But these would be like eighth notes. So I don't actually do them here. Even though I just did that. It's easier it makes more sense to me to keep your hand in this position once you get there. So if I do this, I'll go from here where the double time starts. Minor, still minor, but B, A7, D7, G. Then he goes back to the C, back to the B minor, and the A7, and D7, B. Now he goes right back up the scale again, like the beginning of the tune. So that's how he gets back to the main part of the verse. So I'll go through that section again. So from here, it's going C. This is the double time stuff. C minor. B minor, A7, D7, back to G. Now here, so I'm keeping it in that position because I don't have to change position again. Now the first time we did that, we did the C and the E here. You can do that. I think McCartney does that actually, but it is harder there's more chance for a mistake there. If I go here, my hand's already there, and I just play the E open instead of here. So instead of here, I'm going open, same note. So then I go, and that's the same. I'm just using the same fingering we did at the beginning of the tune. So that's just a B minor chord. And sometimes I'm doing it like that. Sometimes I'm doing it like that. Same chord, of course. The fingering is whatever is easier for you to get the next chord. And to me, this is the most logical fingering. I would try to use that. There's a lot to remember with the specific fingering of both hands, but That's what's going to make it really smooth for you when you work on it, and also give you a real stability in how to use your right hand properly. So so maybe I'll do that whole section that does the diminished chords. That's these strange ones here that are in between the other main chords of the key. So from here it goes double time on the E minor, still double time, back to eighth notes, back to double time on the C chord, C minor, keep the double time, B minor, A7, D7, back to G, reiterate, C, B minor, A7, D7, like the beginning. Right, so that's all of the tune, except for the chorus. So the chorus, he's in the key of F. So these are all the same shapes on the same strings. This is actually totally on the 5th string and the 2nd string, but the chords are different. So this is a F chord. This note on the bottom is F. And so, if this was a C chord, that's a D chord, that's an E chord, that's an F chord. So it just goes F, same fingering, right? The thumb's on the bottom, the middle finger's on the 2nd string. There's that open G, which sounds kind of strange slow, but it works when it's fast. So he goes, I'll just play the chords. So my bass note, I'm just going to call out the bass note. So it just goes F, E, so that's minor, D minor, C major. This note's B flat, but also major. And then it goes back to the C. So these chords are all the chords that you would find in the key of F. And if you want to know more, I'll dig deep in the second part. So again, F chord, major, E minor, D minor, C major, B flat, back up to the C. So the way he does that, I'll put the G's in the middle now, and I'll give you a beat. My bad, sorry. C, one more time. F, E, D, C, B flat. Okay, so does that twice. So it's F, E, D, C, B flat, C. Do it again. F, E, D, C, B flat. And here he goes to the A7 from the first part to the D7 back home to the G. Now he's back in the verse. So there's the whole tune, basically. That's the first and second section of the tune, which is all there is. Just goes back and forth. Then I'll let you work on it and figure out how to, what follows what. I mean, you can do it however you want. If you wanted to do 2 choruses in a row, you could. But, you can see the way he does it. If you look at live versions, he'll do it different live than he does on the White Album, So, and also you hear his feet, doing the metronome. You could do this to a metronome, and it would be a really good way to practice it as well. Or you could just tap your foot all the time, like he's tapping. So that's kind of what he's doing with his feet. He's doing it actually with 2 feet, I think. So he's going back and forth. So that's kind of neat. And yeah, so that is the tune. So I'll play once through each section, I guess, and then that'll wrap this video up. Next section. And so on. So it's just back and forth between those sections there, and then it goes to the chorus. So when he's here, chorus. And again. Carry on to the A7. D7, back home to G, back to the verse. So that's pretty much the song. He ends the song by just playing a G chord. Where's that coming from? Same place. I would finger it with your first finger, and then he plays a harmonic here. So he just touches the strings at fret 5. So I can grab the same 3 strings for the chord, and then the same 3 strings, grab them in a harmonic. You're just touching on top of the fret and grabbing the string, hitting it fairly hard so they ring. Many different ways you could do that. You could strum it. You could use the back of your nail, which may be, a little bit more articulate. That way I find I'm hearing that note, this chord actually, this is this. Those are the notes he's producing. So that's also another G chord. So he could have gone G and just played the octave there, but he did it as a harmonic. So that's kind of fun. There you go. So if you're interested in part 2, I'm going to just get into the theory and how to think about the tune and maybe how to use these devices in your own arrangements of tunes or in your own writing. Okay, so cheers. See you next time.